What does Shah Khan have in store for the fans this holiday? I'll tell you a Jaguars wish list, at least from my perspective here on this edition of Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that you can find wherever you get your podcasts. If you watch them, go to where you watch them. If you listen to them, make sure you go there every single day so you do not miss an episode of the show. A show that is sponsored today by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return and end the season with a big return on FanDuel in the NFL. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I want to give a hello to the everydayers for joining us and to all of you that are joining for the first time. Thank you for tuning in. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to end the show by talking about finding reasons to be optimistic. That's because we're in the season of giving, the season of thanks, season of families getting together. We're going to end y'all on a good note before Christmas, all right? Naughty or nice? Who you notice there's not a question mark about it because I'm not asking. I'm telling you who's been naughty, who's been nice, and why they'll end up in the same place at the end of the day. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is wins and losses. So that's why we're going to start the show with the Christmas wish list. Our wish list, of course, we could say, please give us a team that can win and compete in the future. I think that's too broad. We probably need to narrow that down a little bit and come up with something like, what are the things that we could get to make sure that we win in the future? And that's where I want to really, really, really hang out. This is almost like a wish list for Shad Khan or Santa, whatever you believe in, that I hope Shad starts completely over. You guys know how I feel about that. Everything. GM, coaching, operations, the whole thing. And I'm going to show you why I came to that conclusion. This is not about not liking people. This is not about personality clashes. It's not about any of that. It's about my willingness to give the benefit of the doubt, which I have since 2020. I did not want the Jaguars to make Trent Balky the GM. Y'all know that. But I wasn't on this quest to constantly prove and show why I did not want them to make him the GM, nor was I ever on a quest to sabotage and not give him credit for the things that he's done. If you've listened to the podcast over and over, you've heard me attempt to explain his reasoning for doing the things that he does in an attempt to justify the optimism and the probabilities that something good could happen for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't sit here and make a podcast every day just to be a contrarian. I don't do stuff like that. But the proof is in the pudding, right? The one thing I'll never do is tell you that it's something, I may be wrong about what it is, but what I'll never do is have a feeling that it is something or it is this thing, but find a reason for self-interest reasons to tell you that it's something else. I'll never lie to you. I might lie on you, but I won't lie to you, right? So here's the thing. They're 3-12 in year 4. And I don't want to hear anything about injuries because I look at Detroit Lions, and Detroit Lions are like 11 or 12 and 2, 13 and 3, 13 and 2, whatever their record is. Detroit got a whole depth chart full of people that's not playing. There's no woe is me when it comes to that. And I know their quarterback is healthy, but even when the Jaguars quarterback was healthy, the team still wasn't playing well. It's no longer, in my opinion, about whose fault it is. It's also no longer important about, okay, what do they do well and what do they not do well? Because what they don't do well is win. That's what they don't do well. We can sit there and go back and forth and want to sit there and talk all day about trying to figure out and point it out, but then you're kind of justifying keeping people. They fired their defensive staff last year and their defense got worse. The team got worse. And there's a bunch of those people that thought that they should not have been let go. That's another miscalculation about the Jaguars, because maybe they should have fired some people on offense instead of firing some people on defense. And I know that's something that everyone around here has been saying, fire Press Taylor, fire Press Taylor. But sometimes you don't need that to happen. You don't need a Band-Aid to be put on a broken leg. Sometimes it has to get totally derailed and you'll go, oh my God, this thing is worse than we thought. Yeah, that's sometimes, and I think that sometime is right now. Trent Balky is responsible. Doug Peterson is responsible. Who's more responsible? Don't know. I can't tell you. All I can tell you is I saw one guy doing something that we want this organization to do, and that's win. I'll tell you who's not as responsible. Ultimately, it is Shad's responsibility, but I'm going to lay off Santa Claus Shad right now, and that's what I'm going to call him because I want something from him. I want a gift on Christmas Day that or maybe not on Christmas Day, but if I could open it, a gift and it says, don't worry, at the end of the year, they're going to fire everybody. That would be the greatest Christmas present I could ever get. Here's my thoughts on taking it a little bit further and saying ultimately it's Shad's responsibility, but then it isn't. Because that's the one person in this entire thing. Doug can't do it. I don't have any confidence that Doug could change this. That's why I think he needs to go. I don't have any confidence that Trent could be a part of changing this. That's why I want him to go. I don't want either one of them to be here working with somebody new. I want them both gone. The reason why I'm optimistic a little bit is because even though he's failed to do it so far in his tenure as the Jaguars owner, Shad Khan is the only person that could actually get out of the Jaguars' way or get the Jaguars out of harm's way. Because he could fire everybody and then he could go back and do something that he's tried to do that he's never been able to do. And that's hire a whole new staff and get new people in here. And learn from the mistakes that he's made recently. Restructure their front office a little bit and also find the right people to have the right attitude and can back it up. There's a lot of ways you can do that. You can get a hot guy like Liam Cohen, who I'm starting to feel like is probably going to stay at Tampa, and that's just a gut feeling. I don't have any information with that, but you can check it out, Locked On NFL, where I talked about it. I'm starting to get the feeling that Ben Johnson's going to end up somewhere else. And then you're going to either have to try to find another hot candidate, which Bobby Slowick has lost all of that love, right? You got to go to an organization where people are used to winning. You got to go backwards and hire a guy like Mike Vrabel. And I'm not saying backwards in terms of like Mike Vrabel isn't a good coach, but I am saying it in terms of hiring another coach who has been fired somewhere else and hoping that you can find people that match it in the front office. Naughty or nice? I think both. I think Doug Peterson is being nice. I think Trent Balky is being naughty. But I do think that we need to still look at this as a silver lining that Shad Khan can actually do what we don't believe that he can do, because that's the only way this gets turned around. Fire everybody and hope that Shad can somehow manage, even if he has to use an advisory, not a whole, I don't want like an NCAA playoff college football advisory, but two or three people that he can call. I hope Bill Polian ain't one of them, but Ron Wolf, Ozzie Newsome, if he would, unless Ozzie's still like a consultant for another team. But that's what I do. Mike Holmgren. I would get people who have won, who have a level head, just in a room for a couple of days and say, which direction should I go? I'll tell you why ultimately Shad is responsible, but ultimately this isn't his fault. And I got to give him that, because that's the only way we're going to get to Shad doing exactly what I think he needs to do and what you guys want him to do. We'll talk about that in segment number 2 and why I feel that way in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. That is right, man. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so much There's so many ways for you to pick up a W. That's right. I love being and betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It's thrilling. I've always checked out Jonathan Taylor because he's always finding the end zone if he's not dropping the ball. Derrick Henry is definitely going to find it. And, of course, Saquon Barkley, man, is the absolute truth. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, rolling along here, segment 2 here on Locked On Jaguars on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to you and your family. It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. Talking about Christmas list. What do I want for Christmas? I've already said you can give me an envelope. Doesn't have to have a gift. It can be real small. It just says they're gone. And like I said, this is a personal. This isn't like trying to fire people on holidays, but it is a business, and those guys are used to it. I don't feel sorry for saying that coaches and GMs haven't done their job, because coaches and GMs every day fire players that haven't done their job, and they cut players that have not done their job, and they give them the pink slip. So not being insensitive on Christmas, but I just want you all to think about how you feel every single Sunday when this team goes out and lays an egg. I want you to tell me how you feel every single off season when you give it your all and you buy tickets and you buy gear and you buy merch and you go out and you brave those hot practices all over again. And then you realize 2 or 3 games into the season that nothing has changed. That's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing it early, months early, so that hopefully it'll give you some hope going into next season. We're going to give Shad a break because Shad is actually our Christmas wish list provider. He's our Santa Claus. The only way we're going to get what we want is for Shad to act up. I can tell you why I say ultimately his responsibility, but it's not his fault. And here's what I mean by that. They can, if he talks to Doug Peterson, let's say Shad talks to 4 people. Doug Peterson, Trent Balky, Trevor Lawrence, and some combination of Foy Oluwakan and Josh Allen, the leaders on this team. And you would have asked them to be totally honest with them without any repercussions. What do they think the problem is? You heard Dewey Wingard the other day said, guys know what they're supposed to be doing at this point. That was the first time I've heard anybody hint at or indicate that, there were some dudes in there that didn't seem like they cared very much. Like guys aren't being held accountable, right? And that goes to Doug Peterson. Doesn't mean he's not a nice guy. He's been nice, but he's done something naughty. Sometimes you can't be overly nice to a team, and now the team has this mentality like you're the fun uncle. And then when you try to get angry, it looks out of character, and everybody's like, look at Doug getting mad at people at a press conference. So that's you kind of consistently have to be who you are. For instance, some of the most penalized teams in the league are teams that are absolutely the most physical. And they play the game on that tilt. And that's why people think when they win, they're always cheating. And then people think when they lose, they're always undisciplined, because that's just who they are. At least they're the same all the time. I just think it's not the fact that the team is that way, whatever their personality is, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, it does not fall on Shad Khan, because Shad Khan is distant. He's away. He has nothing to do with that. There was nothing about him saying that this is the best team he's ever seen, or in Jaguars history, the most talented team. And that's the only thing you can say that could have jinxed this team, or that's the only thing that you could say that could have caused this team to get a false sense of themselves. But somebody told him that. Doug Peterson has already said that he didn't say it. Maybe Trent Balky didn't say it either, but maybe it was Shad's wallet that said it. Maybe it was all of these draft picks. Maybe it was all having to cut deals about making stadiums and trying to figure out what they're going to do and how they're going to get revenue and generate more revenue. Maybe he's looking at the bottom line. Maybe a dude stole $22 million from him. He's saying, you know what? I've been putting money out. People have been taking money from me. I've been doing all of this stuff. You know what? I'm going to keep an eye on this, because it appears to me that I have given them every single thing that they've asked for. They have picked in the top. This will be 3 out of 4 years, them picking in the top 5 of the draft if they end up, which is where they are now, in the top 5. He signed money in free agency. He's won free agency periods. He has paid people. He has extended folks now. Trevor Lawrence with all of that money. He extended Josh Allen. He extended Tyson Campbell. No, this ain't on me. So whatever their personality is, that's on you. And then he could talk to the defenders, like I say, talk to the defenders, and the defenders tell him people aren't being held accountable. That's Doug. Maybe Doug's too nice. Then he can talk to Doug, and Doug can say, I haven't really gotten the players that I really, really need from Trent. And then he can talk to Trent, and Trent can say, I gave him the players. Look, Brian Thomas Jr. is one of the best rookies. Trayvon Walker has lived up to his draft status. Trevor Lawrence has gotten banged up. He's lived up to it. You know, there's some other guys that have played well. Walker Little is now your starting left tackle. I re-signed Tyson Campbell. Foyola Khan was a success. I re-signed Josh Allen and his character. Brenton Strange is a pretty good player. Tank Bigsby is a good player. Okay, Mason Smith is finally starting to show up when they give him reps. What else do you want me to do? I got the pieces. He just can't cook. And I hope Shad writes that down and goes, noted. And then, like I said on yesterday's show, I'd like Shad to revisit maybe some conversations he had when Doug Peterson was chosen to be the head coach. I'd like Shad Khan to then review some conversations that were had when they fired Mike Caldwell as defensive coordinator. I'd like for Shad Khan to then revisit some conversations they've had when Doug Peterson maybe should have said something to Shad a long time ago, if he did or didn't, and he didn't. And therefore, the only conversation I think Shad needs to be paying attention to is the one he has about them winning 3 games. None of that is Shad's fault. Shad didn't pick one player. Shad just signed the check. I'm sure Shad didn't veto not one thing that he did in Trent Balky. So if that's the case, if Doug was all of that, why didn't you see it? Why did you have a blind spot for him? Why did we fire those other coaches if it was really Doug Peterson? Why? What happened? How could you come in after 3 years and tell me that our team isn't physical? Is that on him too? So while Shad has had his head turned, Trent Balky has run this entire organization. Why are they currently slated to pick in the top 3 of the draft? Why was the season apparently lost prior to Trevor getting hurt? Why do we still have dead cap space for guys like Roy Robinson Harris who never really did anything here? Why do we pay Cam Robinson all that money and continue to pay him when we could have been gotten rid of him if we were going to keep Walker Little? I mean, there are just too many things that aren't the fault of Shad Khan that he is ultimately responsible for, that the people underneath him have to answer for. So it doesn't matter about your personality, whether you've been naughty or nice. Doesn't matter how. This is why I said it doesn't have anything to do with personality. It just has something to do with the bottom line. It has something to do with who's responsible. It has something to do with, I no longer feel confident that there's anybody over there that can get this thing turned around and going in the other directions. But I will give you some reason to be optimistic. And there are some right before Christmas. You ready for it? I'll give it to you here in just a second as we enter the third and final segment here on Christmas Eve on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Prize Picks. There is no better place for you to go than Prize Picks. If you love watching the game, you're going to love Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. Whether it's football, basketball, or any of your favorite sports, Prize Picks makes your holidays bigger and brighter. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money. I said it, man. Y'all need to hear it. 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30 million in rewards doing Picksmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your picks hit, Prize Picks makes it easy to cash out. You can get your money in as fast as 15 minutes. This week, I'm looking at Jared Goff throwing for far more than 230 passing yards, and for Saquon Barkley, of course, get more than one touchdown. It's quick, simple, and so much fun to challenge myself and all my friends. Just download the Prize Pick app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly when you play just $5. Prize Picks. Run your game. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had 2 of them coming out and it was for the same thing. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for them. That's right. Rocket Money made it easy. It made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower bills so you can grow your savings. For me, it's one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore. People just taking monthly money out of my bank account, and I had no idea where it was going and what it was coming out for. That's right. And they took care of me at Rocket Money. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Rocket Money/locked-on. All right, moving along, talking about our Christmas list here on Locked On Jaguars, a Christmas wish list. Of course, it comes with some pink slips, and it's never a nice thing to do on a holiday, but hey, it happens to players, so it can happen to coaches and GMs as well. Who's been naughty or nice? Does not matter. Personalities don't matter. We ain't pointing the finger at anybody. We just start completely over because where we are is something that is not acceptable. Now I'm going to find some reasons to be optimistic. Reasons to be optimistic are this. I do think what has happened is it has shown that Trevor Lawrence does have irreplaceable value to this franchise for a lot of people that may have, thought, Trevor ain't the problem, but he ain't the solution. Trevor is closer to being the solution than he is the problem, as what you've seen on the field and on display since he's been banged up. I mean, they lose close games with Trevor, but without Trevor, they lose close games, man. But they look like they're actually playing with their shoes on the wrong feet without him, or the wrong foot or whatever. And it just looks way terrible. And the feeling is just that even if you don't believe Trevor Lawrence is as good as Trevor Lawrence was advertised to be, he's way better than you probably gave him credit for as of this point because of how the Jaguars look without him. The other thing that you can come across is it ain't those coaches that got fired. It wasn't their fault. And we owe them all an apology, from Mike Caldwell to T. Mitchell to my man up in Detroit, Deshae Townsend, the entire crew. There's a lot of people, man, that were let go, and folks were like, good riddance. And guess what? It got worse. So I told you, man, a long time ago, when you dump the wrong cargo, sometimes it feels worse than just keeping that cargo in place. And there are some people that actually feel like, well, we're going to change another coach and we got to bring somebody else in here. Yeah, you're going to have to change another coach and bring somebody in here. There have been people that come in and get this thing done correctly. And a lot of people differ in what that is. I want them to hire somebody that understands organization. I almost feel like the front office structure is way more important than hiring a coach. I feel like that's the leg of it that has to come first. And if you get that part of it right, the way Detroit did, then you'll get the other part of it right. Because those people, if you look at where all those guys came from to help build Detroit, they all came from upwardly mobile franchises that really, really understood the direction of the new NFL and how they wanted to move about it. It's easy to say, look at Pittsburgh, look at Green Bay, look at all of these. A lot of those people in those organizations are there because they don't leave. All right. So this is where having that understanding of exactly where you want to go and what you want to do, and it has nothing to do with glitz and glamour. All of the extra stuff and the social media stuff and being in the news cycle, that's all cool, but football is still a game that's won between the lines, and it's won in the weight room, and it's won in terms of your strategy and your outlook. And all of those templates have to be set, in my opinion, when no one is looking. So we can talk about all of these beautiful, shiny things all we want to, but we don't know what it looks like if we've never been there. We don't know what it feels like before you get it. But once you get it, there's undeniable similarities that you can point to with winning organizations. One of them is accountability. Two of them is a clear direction on the way that they want to proceed. Three is an identity. They all know how they want to look and they know how they want to play, and they're going to do any and everything that they can to make sure that their actions on a day-to-day basis ends up with them reflecting in their play what their entire mantra and attitude is. Look at all of the teams that are winning right now and tell me what I just described doesn't fit every single one of them. It's almost the Jim Harbaugh approach. They hire a coach. The team had lost a bunch of close games because the previous head coach made boneheaded decisions in the fourth quarter, and they seemed to run out of gas. So it would almost be like, man, they need to get somebody who turned Justin Herbert loose. They need to get some weapons. They need to be able to outscore people. He said, no, the strength of our team is our offensive line, and I'm going to make it even stronger by taking the best prospect at that position in the last decade. We're going to do this slow. We're going to make the good part of our team great. It happens to protect the most precious person and resource that we have, and that is our quarterback. We draft a wide receiver who's one of the 5 best young wide receivers to come out in the draft in the last couple of years in Ladd McConkey. We now just need another receiver, and we got to work out some kinks on our defense with some of the guys that we have, and we got to figure out who to retain, who can we keep, or whatever. But for the most part, they have gotten this thing on track to where you see some blue sky, and they've been able to do it in less than one season. And they did it by taking an approach that is not popular. It is not a paparazzi. It's not the star. Ain't no fireworks. It's just good, sound football decisions with good, sound football play. And that's exactly what I hope the Jacksonville Jaguars do. And the only person that can do that is Shad Khan. So I'll start out by saying that even though it was his responsibility, what has happened the last 4 years is not his fault. Because we need him in all of the good spirits to make sure that he doesn't get afraid to do something that he continues to fail at. It ain't going to go away. You can't kick the can down the road. If you do, you're going to be 3-14 again next year, or 4-13 again next year. And some people are going to be sitting here telling you, you got to do this again. Do it right now. Do it right now so the fans can say, okay, we're going to try it again, and we're going to take all of our enthusiasm, and we're going to cheer and hope and figure if they can get the next guy to come here or the next crew to come here, that they get this thing done and they do it the right way. Hopefully that's what you guys get for Christmas, amongst other things. You can get Locked On NFL. The show will be on Christmas Day. Make sure you tap in each and every day. Special show tomorrow. Both of us, Tyler Rowland and myself, will do a joint Christmas show, and you can enjoy that. Normally we do 2 separate shows, but we'll be on together tomorrow, and even beyond tomorrow. Make sure you tap into both of those shows, Tyler in the morning and me in the barbershop in the afternoon. All right, man, you guys enjoy your day. Merry Christmas. There will be a Jaguars Christmas show coming on or post. We will talk about Christmas after Christmas, my bad, for the Locked On Jaguars, and then we'll have a crossover Thursday with Tyler Rowland because the Jaguars play the arch nemesis Tennessee Titans, and then we'll have a preview of the game on Friday as well. You guys take care of each other. We'll see you. Have a nice evening with your loved ones. Take care from here on Locked On Jaguars.